Hi guys, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm so excited. In this video, I'm gonna be showing you how I installed this beautiful backsplash. I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So this is the before and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I went shopping with a friend for Backsplash and I started seeing all these gorgeous kitchens and beautiful tiles, and suddenly I convinced myself I can totally change mine super easily. Spoiler alert, it was not as quick or as easy as I imagined it. It definitely took longer and was a little more challenging than I had planned, but now that it's done, it was so worth it to me. So first up was demo. This little side piece, I think it's called a splash guard, had to go because I wanted the backsplash to only be on the back of the wall to have a cleaner look. So I scored the caulk with the utility blade and I used this trim puller to remove it. This trim puller is amazing. I'm so glad I bought it. And I'll have links to everything that I used down below because some of these tools seriously saved me during this project. So I expected a little damage behind here, but not this giant hole. And the other side, which you'll see in a little bit, was even worse. It honestly looked like they just broke the drywall to fit the countertop in it and just called it a day, put the splash guard on top. The backsplash that was here before, if you even want to call it that, was basically these super lightweight wood planks. They were just nailed in, so they actually came off really easy, and thankfully there was basically no damage on that wall. I don't know how I'm gonna fix that right here. I'm just gonna have to look it up, but I'm sure probably just some sort of drywall repair. Okay, so I'm done demoing the backsplash. It came off pretty smooth. There's only a few trouble areas, which specifically this area right here where I'm sure they had to cut it out to fit the counter in. So I'll have to do some drywall repair on that and then a few other spaces. But other than that, it came off pretty smooth. It only took me about an hour. Let's prep the drywall for tiling. So I'm not doing too much because I am gonna be using Musselbound for this project, but as you did see when I was demoing, there are some spaces that do need some love. Like right here, there's not gonna be any tiles, so I have to fix this for sure. Next, I'm gonna spray the cardboard area with this primer right here. This is gonna keep this paper from bubbling up underneath the joint compound. Since this section was pretty rough, I decided to cut the whole piece out and replace the drywall completely. I added a scrap 1x3 behind it first, so the drywall would actually have something to screw onto because as you saw, there was literally no support before. Then I attached the new drywall and I used pre-mixed joint compound and drywall tape on the seams. I did one layer of joint compound, then the tape, then another layer on top, and then I just left it to dry. For the giant hole on the other side, I used one of these mesh wall patches and covered it with joint compound as well. Now, before tiling, I wanted to make my life a little bit easier, so I made a template for cuts using this thin piece of leftover PVC trim that I had and a hot glue gun. Honestly, this helped so much. The tile I chose is glass tile, which is beautiful, but also a little bit evil. Glass tile chips really easily, so cutting it definitely took patience. I ended up having to rent a big tile saw from the Home Depot because the small one that I had was just not cutting it at all. So I rented the saw from Home Depot and I bought a glass blade and I put it on the saw that I rented from Home Depot, and that made it really easy to cut. And this tile saw looks so intimidating at first, but I promise it's actually pretty straightforward once you start using it, and it's super easy once you get the hang of it. One trick that helped me a lot was putting the cardboard from the tile packaging underneath the sheets of tile because the mesh can shift around really easily, so the cardboard helped everything stay in place. I even saw people cutting the tile in the whole plastic packaging and everything. Now, for applying the Musselbound, yes, I know people have opinions about this stuff, but I've actually used it in 3 other projects and have had 0 issues. I am 100% a convenience girly, and this to me just makes tiling so much easier and way less messy. Just make sure the wall is completely dry and clean first. I wiped everything down with alcohol before applying it. Once the Musselbound was up, the tile installation part was honestly my favorite because you can start seeing the vision come together. So you just peel the backing off and stick the tiles onto the wall, making sure everything stays level and spaced correctly.
Michelle, nigga, hey, what I call? He's like, nah, I am no more.
Once I liked the placement, I pressed everything in really well using a grout float. For the exposed edges, I did use Schluter trim. Now, every tutorial I watched skipped over how to install the Schluter when using Musselbound, so I kind of just wung it. And I ended up using construction adhesive to glue the trim onto the wall, and it's worked. It's been working. And for the tiles that overlapped onto the trim where there wasn't any Musselbound underneath, I used construction adhesive as well too. Then came the grout time. Yes, I used pre-mixed grout too. Do not judge. This part gets so messy and it is definitely a workout. I used a grout float and sometimes even my hands to really push that grout into all the little spaces. I worked in small sections about 15 minutes at a time because once the grout dries on glass tile, it is so hard to clean off. So I'd grout a section, then immediately wipe it down with a big grout sponge and clean water before moving on. Now, once everything was fully grouted, I went back with a clean rag to buff all the haze off the tile so you could really see the shine. After the tile was finally done, I went back to repairing the walls where the joint compound had dried. So I started sanding everything smooth and added more joint compound where it was needed and basically repeated the process until I got everything to blend nicely and it was all nice and smooth. Once I was all done with that, I used texture spray to match the texture of my wall. Then I caulked all the seams and painted everything to match. And finally, I added all the outlets back. Luckily, that part was pretty easy since I was basically just replacing one backsplash for another. And here's the after. I genuinely think this made such a huge difference in the kitchen. I get so happy when I look at it. I'm so glad I pushed through and finished it, even though it took me way longer than expected. I mean, I started this before Christmas and I didn't end till after New Year. I was just really taking my time with this, but this project has really, to me, just stepped my kitchen up so much, and now I want to do so much more in here. I want to change the fixtures, the hardware, and I even want to add some pendant lights. But tell me, what would you guys do next? What do you think? All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. And if there's anything you want to see me do, make sure to leave it in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.